do, focus that Blade Master. And you'll notice he almost died. And there goes a bunch of his damage output. And that's basically what you want to do. As an Orc player, there isn't really much you can do to prevent that unless you go Shadowhunter second, which a lot of people do. One thing you might want to do as the Undead player is you actually want to get your Crypt Lord in better positions to impale, because he's gotten a couple iffy impales in there that weren't so fantastic. So at this point, it's kind of in Deuce's favor just because his heroes are stacking up pretty bad, and the Tauren Chieftain has to TP out, and a lot of the Wind Riders are weak. So that kind of sucked for the Orc, especially because he lost all of his peasants on the gold. So that was a pretty important battle for the Undead to be fighting. He was down a bunch of food, but you'll notice he had pretty good positioning around those trees, and he got the web off pretty quick on those Wind Riders, picked those off along with the Raiders. You'll notice he doesn't have any Raiders anymore. Yeah, those are all gone. So, level 4 Lich, this is when you actually start getting your ritual against Orc. And the reason that that you start doing that now is because you obviously have Frost Armor, which is basically to reduce damage output done on your units. It doesn't really work so well against Blade Master with an Orb, but it's still important to have just because Grunts and Raiders won't be doing as much, and those are pretty important for the Orc player as well, just because Grunts are pretty huge damage output against Fiends. So you'll notice he isn't picking up, let's see, another Frost Worm. He's actually getting a lot more Fiends and a Statue. And the reason that is because he's only got 2 Grunts, right? And, like, why would you get Frost Worms against a bunch of Wind Riders? You're just going to get damage outputted, and it's just going to suck for you. So you'll notice he's running. I'm not exactly sure why he's running. He should sort of fight this just because he can pick off a bunch of units that way. Like, if he's just running around with those Wind Riders, why not pick off a unit? Oh, Raider comes in. That was pretty important. Now this is when it becomes kind of a bitch to fight the Orc, just because Tauren Chieftain will stomp, and then you basically have no damage output for 3 or 4 seconds. You can't Frost Armor or use your coil, and plus the Orc has pretty good positioning with his heroes, so it was a good time to TP out. It's too bad that Wind Rider lived at 22 HP. It's one more volley. He's picking up another Frost Worm just because the Orc was stacking up on Raiders again. It's just a basic concept. And this is pretty smart play, is he's running in. He knows, like, the Orc doesn't have any Raiders, obviously, so he just runs in, coils something, and runs away. Pretty smart. You'll notice he isn't really panicking and getting an Expo, though. I generally Expo because I'm weird, but yeah, he's going to mention it here. Oh, good times. So, let's see, what else? He is almost level 6, which is pretty important, just because you get, you can either get Animate Dead or you can get Death Pact, which saves your DK pretty bad. He does have 3 damage upgrades on his Fiends, which is good against the Tauren Chieftain that has Stomp, just because, you know, if you want to maximize your damage output, that's the way to do it. Plus with Frost Armor, that's free armor anyways. Stop setting up another Expo. That's a good 600 gold expenditure right there, because he went for the quick build Expo, which humans have anyways, and they don't need a shop to build one. But yeah, you'll notice he's actually restocking his Shades, which is pretty smart. Plus his gold mine's almost done, so it's a good time to do that. And at this point in the game, as the Undead player, if you've already taken out one of their Expos, what you want to do is you want to make sure they're not Expoing again. And it's a good time to hit above 50 food, just because you don't really have any gold left. So yeah. He is not getting another Frost, which is too bad. He could have used a couple buildings, but he won't. Well, not yet. But yeah, he is getting another fiend, which is pretty good. Always keep a statue on you just because it's free mana, and that's like a free frost armor every couple seconds. So you'll want to keep that with you, especially for the Lich. And there is another battle here, and you'll notice Wind Riders are getting focused pretty bad. He hasn't really nuked the Blade Master, which I thought was odd. But it's kind of hard to nuke something when someone's stopping your whole army. And at this point in the game, it all comes down to your heroes, basically, just because their heroes control your army and your heroes control their army. So it's pretty crucial. Saves the Lich, that's pretty cool. And I believe he's going to start nuking the Blade Master, which would be smart if he used a Nova. Lich almost dies. That was cool. He gets a surround on the Blade Master. Even if he didn't get a kill on the Blade Master, he could have just unsummoned a couple buildings and gotten a Frostworm, and it still would have been GG. Level 6 Torn Chieftain, though. Doesn't really matter, because his Expo's going to die. And he's not going to be able to get his Blade Master back in time, which is pretty much how this game ends. Always go for the peons first, just because it's easier to kill the peons off pretty quickly as opposed to the Great Hall. Plus they can repair it and buy time, and it's kind of gay, and then they'll be able to get their hero back. So this was a pretty well played by the Undead player. Made smart decisions most of this game. Not sure what the Torn Chieftain's doing. Trying to get the 2 units around. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't explain that for you. But, let's see. What's he doing? He is going after the altar, which is smart, because he probably won't have enough gold. No, he won't. To tavern it back. But, yeah. Nuke the Wind Rider. Man, statues do like 0 damage to anything. I think they do 3 damage to raiders total. Per volley. Which is kind of sad. And he's focusing the Torn Chieftain. That's going to run away, though. He's got a lot of HP on the Torn Chieftain. You're not really going to get a kill on that. Just have to watch your heroes. Or your Lich, just because he can nuke you pretty bad. Too bad Orb of Corruption doesn't reduce the armor on buildings. Pretty smart frost armor, just so that Torn Chieftain does nothing. Blade Master's almost out, but GG. So that was a pretty good game. Yeah, there isn't really much else I can say in regards to using fiends against Orc. Just one thing that you can do, or that you could do if he doesn't really have any raiders, is you can actually web a couple of his Wind Riders and reposition, so that half of his Wind Riders aren't doing any damage. So actually, yeah, let's do me losing to Deuce now, just so that Stop can laugh at me too. Well, we all laugh at his expense. JK, he's a good guy. But he's, yeah, I don't know. So pause the second game. It'll just be called like Orange versus Deuce. Oh yeah, this is where he proposed. This is where he proposed my audio idea. I believe.